there is this issue of whether we are in a constitutional moment or not.
Yes.
I do not, with a lot of respect, see the place of that particular issue in regards to the amendment of the Constitution, especially with the proposals that are coming out. The reason for that is, if you look at where constitutional moments have been used and have been successful, it is when you want to do a total overhaul of the Constitution. And that is what we had that gave birth to the 2010 Constitution. And if you look at other countries, we've always had, and the Constitution envisages part amendment of that Constitution. And it's not only the Kenyan Constitution alone. That is why in America you have the first, the second, the third amendments and so on. Because you identify an issue and you say, this Constitution is good. And like we had said, and like Senior has said, there are parts we agreed. In fact, I think there was a silent understanding between Kenyans and themselves that we will pass this Constitution, but we will revisit and amend this 20% that is bad. But there was nowhere that they said we will amend it during a constitutional moment or after this number of years. So that particular aspect, as long as we know something is bad, we don't need to live with it. In fact, doctors say that the earlier, a stitch in time saves 9. You know, the earlier you deal with an element of a disease, the better. Otherwise, you'll end up treating a different factor altogether. So I think we are even late in terms of dealing with these particular amendments, in my view. And we are here and we agree. And I think anyone who is objective enough will agree that the arrangement that we have today is not serving our purpose in terms of a united country going forward. And like George Kithi has said, it doesn't matter who wins. It does not matter. There'll still be this issue. So do we need to wait for bloodshed like in 2007, which is what actually gave us the constitutional moment to push through a constitution in 2010, 3 years later, so that we say we have a constitutional moment, now we can actually amend this constitution. I don't think we need to wait for that. Do we need to wait for 1992, when we had to now threaten, and it was so bad to a point that, you know, for the former President Moi to actually agree to repeal Section 2A, you know, the country was actually almost tearing apart. Remember, we even had attempted coups before because of the dictatorship that was there. We don't need to actually be at that position to now change. So in my view, it is best that we actually accept there is an issue and we start dealing with it today. We don't wait for something to trigger. If you look at it at this particular point, even if you are talking about a constitutional moment, the BBI attempt actually surpassed by far the bare minimum threshold that was actually that is actually required by the Constitution. It actually qualified, save for the impediment by the courts. It had actually passed all the prerequisites. So the only thing that was remaining was subjecting it to the populace in a referenda, which I believe will still have passed, actually, regardless of the issues that are there. So to a large extent, if at that particular point all of us were saying, at least to this extent we need to amend this constitution to these particular aspects, nothing changes save for the fact that the regime that was there has changed and we have a new regime. That's the only thing that changes. And that is why you find that even this push that we have today is actually, like Senior Mungatana has indicated, even the president himself forwarded a memoranda on these particular changes. Remember, at that particular point, the president now was kind of saying this constitution or the changes were akin to creating positions for certain people. The memorandum that has been sent is actually exactly that, creating those positions. But the issue here is, if it creates positions and it's going to help us in terms of forging forward in a more united way post every election that we'll have, so be it. We'd rather have that. But this no one is saying that the entire constitution is so bad that we need a total overhaul of the entire constitution. It is aspects. And I've seen what Professor P.L.O. Lumumba has proposed.